How does the vice president adapt and adjust to the zoo back in Washington?
He has to own the response of COVID-19 from the administration. He, of course, was leading the effort within the president's inner circle as it relates to COVID-19. Now, beyond that, it's also an opportunity for Vice President Mike Pence to speak to the conservative base, which was largely why 4 years ago he was chosen to complete this ticket for President Trump. It comes at a time in which here in Utah, Senator Mike Lee, a Republican, also is reportedly recovering from COVID-19. He, a member of the Senate Judiciary Committee. It's a topic with regards to Judge Amy Coney Barrett that Vice President Pence wants to talk about, and he's going to be doing it in a state that is going to be well received. However, Senator Kamala Harris now, really, in many ways, the future of the Democratic Party is willing and ready to draw a sharp contrast, I'm told, in what many are calling one of the most important vice presidential debates that we've seen in recent times.
Come on, Kevin. Without question, it's the most important vice presidential debate ever, just because of the age of the candidates. There's no question about that. But, Kevin, what's so important here is the vice president, is he given up going to the middle ground, given up going to the marginal voter, and is only going to talk to that base?
It's not just the base, it's a specific point of that base. I'm told in conversations that I have, he wants to speak to those conservatives who are a bit put off by the rhetoric and the fiery nature of President Trump. Senator Harris, for her part, has to motivate the base and rally the support of the Democrats who are questioning whether or not Joe Biden is one of them as it relates to economic policy, as it relates to social injustice, and that he would be willing to be that bridge president in terms of unifying the Democratic Party. It's also, again, every Republican consultant, Democratic strategist I've spoken with in the past several days tells me, Kevin, this is a foreshadowing potentially of a matchup 4 years from now. You cannot talk about presidential politics in America for either party unless you're talking about Vice President Pence or Senator Harris.
So, Kevin, let's get to the main question then. Is this a debate between two future presidential candidates or a debate between two people protecting the top of the ticket?
You know, I would say it's both. And look, I mean, we've seen the political jib-jabs going back and forth throughout the last day. They're going to have plexiglass. They're standing 3 additional feet apart. I can tell you that based upon my reporting, Senator Harris is going to be accompanied by Mayor Pete Buttigieg as well as Los Angeles Mayor Garcetti to support her in the inner circle. And meanwhile, Vice President Pence meeting yesterday with the Republican governor here as well as some other prominent Republicans in Utah. This is a state where Trump is leading by 10 percentage points, according to the poll of polls. But go outside of Utah, and there's no question that Biden has the upper hand in national polls. It's a bit tighter in some of the swing states.
In the meantime, the tweet storm from President Trump, the collapse of fiscal discussions. What's the response been like among Republican leaderships to how President Trump has handled this?
Confusion amongst the rank and file, support amongst leadership. And there's two incredibly important points as it relates to fiscal stimulus in the conversations that I've had in the past day. First and foremost, this now provides somewhat of its timetable certainty for when the deal is coming in the lame duck, at least in the lame duck. And then the question becomes, will there be another round of stimulus in the first calendar quarter of 2021? And the second point here is that it's not a question of when anymore, of when the stimulus is coming, but how much. If the Democrats take control, there's going to be an increased amount of stimulus that is on the way. In addition, however, to the stimulus tweets that the president did yesterday, we should also note that he did weigh in on the tech story yesterday as it relates to Section 230. And so that is another dynamic, I think, that investors should be watching, especially as there does appear to be small common ground coming from the antitrust subcommittee in the House of Representatives.
And Kevin, we'll try and talk about that a little bit later. Just a final word on Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, if we can. Is that who was running the show yesterday?
Yes, in terms of the dynamics as it relates to not only fiscal stimulus but to the Supreme Court. And I think that without question, though fiscal stimulus is now punted until the lame duck, the path is still full steam ahead for Judge Amy Coney Barrett's nomination process.